The house felt unusually quiet that evening. Emma sat cross-legged on the living room couch, staring at the muted TV screen as if it could answer the questions swirling in her mind. Outside, the sky had turned a soft shade of lavender, streaked with fading hints of sunlight. Normally, the house would be filled with the sound of her parents talking, the clinking of dishes in the kitchen, and the gentle hum of evening chores. But tonight, all of that was gone. Her parents had left early in the afternoon for a weekend trip to visit distant relatives. They had promised it would only be for 2 nights, but even that small absence felt enormous. The silence pressed down on her in a way that made her stomach twist and her chest tighten. Emma realized almost painfully just how much she relied on the constant presence of others to feel grounded. She hugged her knees closer to her chest, listening to the soft ticking of the clock on the wall. The steady rhythm reminded her of heartbeat, one that felt a little lonely tonight. Emma was 14, at the age where everything felt sharper, the longing for friendship, for understanding, for connection. And somehow, tonight felt like the first time she truly noticed just how empty her house could feel when no one else was around. A faint creak came from the hallway. Emma's head snapped up, heart skipping a beat. Probably just the old floorboards settling, she whispered to herself. But even as she tried to convince herself, the sudden hush of the house made her hyper-aware of every tiny sound. The whistling wind brushing against the windows, the faint rustle of leaves outside, and the distant hum of a neighbor's television. She glanced around the living room. Everything looked the same: the beige carpet, the framed family photos, the stack of books by the couch butt. Somehow, the absence of her parents made it all feel unfamiliar. Emma wanted to reach for her phone to distract herself, but she hesitated. Texting friends felt different now. Somehow, the idea of talking to anyone without the quiet companionship of her parents nearby felt hollow, just as she was about to sink deeper into her thoughts. The doorbell rang. Emma jumped, almost spilling the popcorn she had carefully microwaved for herself. Who could it be at this hour? She padded over to the door and peeked through the peephole. Across the street, under the dim glow of the streetlight, stood Noah, her neighbor and best friend. He was holding a small backpack, his hair damp from a light drizzle that had begun without warning. His face broke into a nervous but bright smile when he saw her watching. Emma's heart lifted. There was something comforting about Noah's presence, a sense of normalcy amid the quiet loneliness. She opened the door. "Hey," he said softly, his eyes flicking to the empty house behind her. "Figured you might be bored. Thought we could hang out tonight? Movies, snacks, the usual." Emma smiled, feeling a flutter of warmth in her chest. "Yeah, that sounds perfect." She stepped aside to let him in, even without her parents. Having someone familiar around seemed to make the house feel a little less daunting. They settled on the couch, a bowl of popcorn between them, the glow of the TV painting their faces in soft light. For a while they didn't talk much, letting the sound of the movie fill the silence. But Emma's mind kept wandering. She thought about how quiet the house had felt when she first came home, how much she had missed the gentle chaos of family life, and how much she had always longed for moments like this, moments where someone really noticed her, really listened. Noah seemed to sense it. At one point, he nudged her gently with his shoulder, a small smile playing on his lips. "You okay?" he asked. Emma hesitated. Part of her wanted to say yes, to brush off the thoughts swirling inside. But another part, one that had been quietly yearning for connection, wanted to be honest. She shook her head slightly. "It's just weird without my parents. The house feels too big, too quiet." Noah nodded, understanding. "Yeah, I get that. It's strange when everything's different for a little while. But sometimes the quiet can be good too. Makes you notice things you never really saw before." Emma considered his words, feeling a small spark of curiosity ignite inside her. Could this night, this empty house, this unexpected freedom be something more than just loneliness? Could it be the start of an evening she would remember forever? As the sky outside darkened, the first stars peeking through the fading clouds, Emma felt something shift inside her. It was a quiet, tender excitement, the kind that whispered of possibilities she couldn't yet name. Something about the empty house, the soft hum of the evening, and Noah sitting beside her made her feel alive in a way she hadn't expected. Little did Emma know, this night, the night her parents had left her alone, was going to become one she would never forget. The clock ticked on, and outside the first drops of rain began to fall, tapping against the windows like gentle applause for the start of something new. As the rain tapped softly against the windows, Emma and Noah sank deeper into the cushions of the couch, letting the quiet stretch between them like a warm, familiar blanket. Emma's gaze drifted to the framed photos on the wall, the smiling faces of their families at picnics, birthdays, and holidays. Each image carried a memory, a tiny piece of a past that both grounded and haunted her. Noah's eyes followed hers. "You've been thinking," he said gently, as if reading her mind. Emma gave a small, almost shy smile. "I was just remembering what?" he asked, tilting his head slightly. There was a softness in his voice that made her feel as though he had always known her better than anyone else. "Us," she said, a faint laugh escaping her. "When we were kids, do you remember that summer when we tried to build a treehouse in my backyard?" Noah grinned at the memory. "How could I forget? We thought we could make it big enough for both of us and still reach the sky." Emma laughed quietly, the sound mingling with the rain outside. "And we ended up stuck on the ladder, scared we'd fall, and Mom had to come rescue us. I think that's when I realized I could always count on you." Noah's smile softened, his eyes flickering with a mixture of nostalgia and something deeper. "I remember thinking the same thing. Even then, I wanted to make sure you were safe, always. Maybe that's why I never really left your side." Emma felt a flutter of warmth she couldn't quite name. Over the years, their friendship had grown into something stronger, something unspoken yet undeniable. They had shared secrets, hopes, and dreams that no one else could understand. Yet for all their closeness, there had always been an invisible line neither of them dared to cross, I guess. "We've always been like that," Emma said softly. "Always there for each other, but never more than friends." Noah's gaze dropped for a moment, a shadow of regret passing over his face. "I think we were both scared," he admitted. "Scared of changing what we had. Scared that if we admitted how we really felt, we might ruin it all." Emma nodded, understanding perfectly. Fear had been a constant companion in their friendship. The fear of rejection, of losing the comfort of familiarity, of disrupting a bond that had been steady and unwavering for years. Yet, as she looked at him now, sitting just a few feet away in the quiet house, she realized that fear had also kept her from acknowledging her own heart. "I guess sometimes you don't notice what's been in front of you until it's quiet enough to see it," she murmured. Noah's eyes lifted, meeting hers with a soft intensity. "Exactly. That's why tonight it feels different, like the world is giving us a chance to see what we've been too afraid to notice." Emma's fingers traced the rim of the popcorn bowl as she recalled other moments from their past long walks after school. The nights they stayed up whispering secrets in pillow forts. The countless times Noah had offered a shoulder when her parents were busy or away. Every memory was a thread, weaving them closer together, shaping a connection that neither of them had words for until now. "And even when life got busy," she said, her voice barely above a whisper, "you never really let me go. You always showed up, in ways I didn't even realize." Noah smiled, a mixture of humility and tenderness in his expression. "You did the same for me. I think that's why. Even if we never say it, we've always been connected. Always." Emma leaned back against the couch, her gaze drifting to the rain-streaked window. Outside, the world seemed muted, but inside, her thoughts were alive with all the times they had laughed, argued playfully, and shared dreams too big for their small town. Those moments had built a foundation of trust, comfort, an unspoken affection that now hummed quietly between them. "And yet," she said, her tone wistful, "we never crossed that line. Always friends, never more. I wonder why it's taken so long to notice what's been there all along." Noah's hand moved slightly, brushing the edge of hers on the couch. It was a small gesture, almost accidental, yet it carried the weight of years of unspoken feelings. "Maybe we needed to wait," he said softly. "Maybe we needed the right moment, the quiet, the space, for it to feel real, to feel like we're ready for it." Emma's heart thumped, a mix of anticipation and longing. For so long, she had dreamed of this, of being seen fully, of having someone understand her in a way that mattered. And now, here he was, not rushing, not forcing, just quietly present. And somehow that made it feel perfect. She smiled, a mixture of nostalgia and hope shimmering in her eyes. Maybe tonight is that moment. Noah returned the smile, and for a brief instant, the years of fear, hesitation, and uncertainty seemed to dissolve. The W-E sound of rain had slowed to a gentle drizzle, leaving a fresh, earthy scent in the air. The house, once quiet and almost empty, now felt alive with a subtle warmth. Emma and Noah sat close on the couch, the soft glow of the TV reflecting on their faces. But neither of them was paying attention to the movie. Instead, they were wrapped in a shared silence that carried years of unspoken emotions. Emma reached for her mug of cocoa, the steam curling into the air, and let her thoughts wander. She thought about how strange it felt that their parents' absence had created this rare window of time, a window where nothing outside mattered, where no one could judge, and where they could finally be themselves without expectation. "I didn't think it would feel this different," Emma admitted, her voice soft. "I mean, it's just a normal night. But it feels like something is shifting." Noah turned to her eyes, reflecting the dim light of the room, and gave a small, almost shy smile. "I know exactly what you mean," he said. "It's like everything in the past, everything we've shared, all those little moments finally make sense tonight." Emma's fingers twitched slightly, nervous but excited. It was as if the air itself had changed lighter, yet full of tension. Then, without warning, a loud clap of thunder shook the house. Emma jumped, and Noah chuckled softly, reaching out to steady her shoulder. "You're too jumpy," he teased gently. Though there was no teasing malice, only care, Emma laughed, the sound mingling with the lingering echoes of the storm. "Maybe," she said, "or maybe I just feel more alive tonight. Like I notice everything more." Noah's eyes softened, and he leaned slightly closer. "I think that's because you're noticing me," he said quietly. His words were so simple, yet they carried a weight that made Emma's heart flutter. For a moment, neither spoke, the room filled with only the soft hum of the television and the lingering drizzle outside. Then a small accident occurred. A vase on the side table wobbled as Emma reached for the popcorn, threatening to fall. She gasped, and Noah quickly grabbed it, steadying the delicate glass with ease. "Thanks," she said, relief and something else mingling in her voice. Their hands brushed, a fleeting touch, but in that brief contact, Emma felt a spark, one that had been buried under years of friendship and unspoken feelings. "It's fine," Noah said, a faint smile tugging at his lips. "I think we're better at teamwork than we realized." Emma's heart raced, a mix of nostalgia and something new, something like hope or the first taste of possibility. She realized that small, ordinary moments, like saving a vase or sharing a laugh, were the ones that had always mattered between them. And tonight, those moments felt magnified, as if fate itself had arranged the quiet evening to bring them closer. They moved to the large window overlooking the street, where the rain had left a shimmering layer on the pavement. Streetlights reflected like tiny stars on the wet asphalt. Emma leaned against the glass, her reflection soft and thoughtful, while Noah stood beside her, hands tucked into his jacket pockets. "Do you ever think about what could have been?" Emma asked, almost afraid of the answer. Noah's gaze dropped for a moment, then met hers. "All the time," he admitted. "But I think the right time is always the one we have right now. Not yesterday, not tomorrow, tonight." Emma felt a wave of emotion rise within her, a mixture of longing, recognition, and hope. The years of shared laughter, shared secrets, and shared fears, all of it was converging into this single quiet moment. She realized that the bond they had built over time was not just friendship. It was something stronger, more delicate, and far more important than either of them had allowed themselves to name. A small flash of lightning lit up the sky, followed by a distant rumble of thunder. Emma shivered, and Noah instinctively draped his jacket over her shoulders. She didn't pull away. Instead, she felt comforted by the closeness, the gentle protection in his gesture. "You always know how to make me feel safe," she whispered. "I think that's what friends are supposed to do," he said softly, though there was a tenderness in his voice that went beyond friendship. Emma turned to look at him, noticing the subtle shift in his expression, the way his eyes lingered on her, the way his smile seemed quieter, more intimate. And then it happened. A shared laugh over a line from the movie that had long since lost their attention. And suddenly the room was filled with a new kind of energy, a fragile, electric kind of connection that neither of them had dared to acknowledge until now. It was small, almost accidental, but it reignited feelings that had been dormant for years. A feeling that told them both that this night was different, that something real and important was stirring between them. The empty house, the storm, the quiet evening, they had all conspired to create this moment. A night where the past and present collided. Leaving them both on the edge of discovery, Emma felt her chest tighten, not with fear, but with anticipation. It was as if the universe had finally given her a chance to see Noah, not just as her childhood friend, but as someone who might mean more. Noah glanced at her, and for a heartbeat, the world outside ceased to exist. The rain, the streetlights, the muted television all faded into the background, leaving only the two of them suspended in a quiet, perfect moment. And in that moment, Emma knew, tonight, everything could change. The room was quiet again, but it felt different now. The storm had passed, leaving a soft hush over the neighborhood. Rainwater dripped gently from the eaves, echoing softly in the stillness. Emma and Noah sat on the couch, the space between them smaller than usual, yet still filled with unspoken words. Emma stared at the steaming mug in her hands, tracing the rim with her finger. She wanted to speak, to voice the feelings that had been building for years. Yet each time she opened her mouth, the right words slipped away. It was as if the air itself demanded caution, holding their emotions in suspended silence. Noah shifted slightly, his eyes on her, but he too was hesitant. There was a nervous energy in the way he fiddled with the hem of his hoodie, a tension Emma recognized from years of shared childhood moments, when both had wanted to say more but never dared. "You're quiet," he finally said, his voice barely above a whisper. "I mean, quieter than usual." Emma exhaled slowly, a mixture of frustration and longing. "I'm thinking," she said softly, hoping the simplicity of the words would keep her calm. In truth, she was thinking about every moment they had ever shared, the walks through the park, the laughter during late-night movies, the small gestures of care that had always hinted at something deeper. Noah nodded slowly, sensing more than she said. "Me too," he murmured. "About us. About everything we never really said." Emma's heart skipped. The phrase was innocent enough, but the weight behind it made her pulse race. She wanted to ask him what he meant, to push the boundaries of their conversation, but fear held her back. Fear of misunderstanding, of losing the comfort of their friendship, of facing a truth that could change everything. "Why do we always let it stay unspoken?" she asked, her voice soft but filled with a quiet intensity. "All these years, I mean, we've been so close, but it feels like there's this wall between us." Noah's gaze dropped to the floor for a moment, then back to hers. "I think we were both afraid," he admitted. "Afraid that if we spoke it out loud, it might ruin what we've had. And yet, not saying anything has been its own kind of weight." Emma felt a flutter in her chest, a mix of relief and longing. Finally, someone had given voice to the feelings she had carefully tucked away for so long. Her hand trembled slightly as she reached for the couch cushion, unsure if she could bridge the space between them. "I've wanted to tell you," she whispered almost to herself so many times. "But I didn't know if it was okay, if it would change things." Noah's hand moved slightly, as if on instinct, hovering near hers. He didn't touch her, not yet, but the gesture carried a silent promise of understanding. "It's okay," he said softly. "You don't have to say it all at once. Just letting it out a little is enough for now." Emma's eyes glistened as she absorbed his words. She wanted more, wanted to tell him everything she had ever felt, every moment when her heart had raced at his presence, every quiet hope that he might feel the same. But the weight of honesty was heavy, and she hesitated. Noah's gaze was steady, patient. "Emma," he said gently, "I've felt the same way for years. And every time I wanted to tell you, I held back because I didn't want to risk losing you. But being here tonight, in this quiet house, I realized that not saying anything doesn't make it go away." Emma's breath caught. Her hand trembled slightly as she placed it on her lap, heart pounding. You feel the same?" she asked, her voice barely audible. Noah nodded. "Yes, I've always felt it. I guess we were just waiting for the right time. Or maybe waiting for courage we didn't know we had." For a long moment, the only sound was the gentle drip of rain outside. The room seemed suspended in a delicate balance, holding all the years of unspoken feelings between them. Emma felt a mix of relief and nervousness, bittersweet tension that was almost tangible. "I think that's why tonight feels so important," she said finally. "Because everything we've kept inside, it's finally out. And even if nothing else changes, just knowing you feel the same, it's enough." Noah's lips curved into a small, gentle smile. "It's more than enough," he replied, "because it's real. And real feelings, they don't go away no matter how long you wait." The house was hushed, bathed in the soft glow of the streetlights outside. The rain had stopped completely, leaving the air crisp and fragrant, as if the night itself had been washed clean. Emma and Noah still sat close on the couch, their hands lightly touching, each gesture loaded with unspoken meaning. Emma shifted slightly, gathering the courage to speak. "Noah, I've been thinking about how much we've missed. Not just moments, but everything. All the times we didn't say what we felt." Noah's eyes met hers, steady and patient. "Me too," he admitted. "And I've realized something waiting doesn't make the feelings go away. It just makes them harder to ignore." Emma's heart pounded. For years, they had tiptoed around their emotions, afraid to risk the friendship that meant everything. But tonight, everything felt different. There was no one to watch, no expectations, no distractions, just the two of them. Finally seeing each other clearly. "I don't want to wait anymore," Emma whispered. Her voice was small but firm, carrying the weight of her long-held emotions. "I don't want to hide what I feel." Noah's lips curved into a gentle smile. "I feel the same way," he said. "All this time, I was just scared. Scared of losing you. But now I think we're brave enough to see what this could be." The words hung in the room, soft yet powerful. Emma felt a rush of relief and warmth, the years of hesitation dissolving in that moment. It wasn't dramatic or sudden, it was gentle. It's like the unfolding of something long overdue. They laughed softly, nervously, as if testing the reality of their emotions. The kind of laughter that comes from the heart, from years of shared memories and mutual understanding. Emma remembered the little things, Noah's quiet support during hard times, the way he always remembered the smallest details, how he made her feel seen in ways no one else had. "I guess this is the start of something new," she said, her fingers brushing against his hand. "Not forgetting the past, but moving forward with it." Noah nodded. "Exactly. We don't have to rush, but we don't have to hide either. We can just be here together and see where it leads." Emma's eyes softened, and she leaned back against the couch, letting herself feel the comfort of his presence. For the first time, she realized that love didn't always need grand gestures or dramatic confessions. Sometimes it was in the quiet moments, the shared glances, the simple acknowledgement of feelings that had always been there. "Do you remember when we were kids?" she said softly. "And we tried to build that treehouse in my backyard?" Noah chuckled, his eyes lighting up. "How could I forget? We thought we were going to make it big enough to touch the sky, and we got stuck on the ladder." Emma smiled, remembering the panic and laughter, the relief when her mother finally helped them down. "I think that's when I realized I could always count on you. And not just for fun stuff, but everything." Noah's expression grew tender. "I've always felt the same. And even when we didn't say it, I think I've always known. I just needed the right moment to be brave." They sat in comfortable silence for a few moments, letting the weight of honesty settle between them. The storm outside had passed, but the storm of emotions within them had found clarity. There was no need for words beyond what had been said. Acknowledgement of feelings was enough. "I never imagined a night like this," Emma murmured. "It's strange how something ordinary, like an empty house, can make everything feel extraordinary." Noah reached for her hand again, this time holding it firmly but gently. "Sometimes the simplest things reveal the most important truths," he said. "A quiet night, a little rain, and finally the courage to see each other clearly." Emma smiled, feeling her heart lift with a mixture of nostalgia and hope. This was the turning point they had both needed, a dramatic confession, but a quiet emotional awakening. The kind of moment that leaves a lasting impression, a memory to carry forward. "Promise me something," she asked softly, squeezing his hand lightly. "What?" He replied, curious, "That we won't let the fear of the future stop us from feeling now. That we won't hide anymore." Noah nodded, his eyes glimmering with the same quiet determination. "I promise." And just like that, the room felt lighter. The tension, the hesitation, the years of unspoken feelings, they hadn't vanished entirely. But they had transformed into something stronger, something real. Emma and Noah leaned back, letting themselves smile, laugh softly, and simply exist in the shared space they had always cherished. Now, with a new depth of understanding, the night stretched on. But it didn't feel lonely or quiet anymore. It felt full of possibility, full of trust, full of the kind of love that begins quietly, grows patiently, and changes everything without needing to shout. And in that calm, heartfelt moment, Emma knew that tonight wasn't just another night in an empty house. It was the night that everything began anew. Night when their hearts finally found the courage to speak. The night they would never forget. Morning sunlight spilled gently through the living room windows, illuminating the soft chaos of blankets, popcorn bowls, and 2 mugs left on the coffee table. The night had passed quietly, leaving behind a sense of calm and clarity. Emma stirred first, blinking against the gentle glow, and then looked over to see Noah still sitting beside her. Eyes half closed, but carrying the same serene warmth that had been there all night. For a moment, the room was silent, filled only with the soft hum of the morning and the distant sound of birds beginning their day. Emma smiled softly, remembering the moments that had passed, the laughter, the confessions, the gentle touches, and the quiet acknowledgement of feelings that had been hidden for years. Noah stirred, stretching and shaking his head slightly, a sleepy grin spreading across his face. "Morning," he said softly. His voice was warm, familiar, comforting. "Morning," Emma replied, feeling a flutter of happiness at the sound of his voice. She realized with a gentle certainty that nothing about last night had been fleeting or imagined. Every word, every shared glance, every moment of hesitation and honesty had been real. They sat together for a few moments longer, savoring the peace of the morning, until Noah finally broke the quiet. "I guess this is the part where the world starts again," he said, his tone gentle but thoughtful. Emma nodded. "Yeah, our parents will be back soon, and life will go back to normal." She paused, a small, wistful smile forming. "But I don't think we'll forget this night, ever." Noah's hand found hers again, fingers intertwining naturally. "Neither will I. It's special, isn't it? How a night that seemed ordinary could change everything." Emma felt her chest tighten with a warm emotion she couldn't quite name. "It is," she whispered, "because it reminded me that sometimes the things we've waited for the longest are also the most important." Noah nodded, his gaze steady. And it reminds me that being honest with yourself and with someone you care about can change more than just one night. It can change everything." They shared a quiet smile, the kind that only comes from mutual understanding, shared history, and the knowledge that something meaningful had begun. The unspoken fears and doubts of years had been acknowledged and laid to rest, replaced by something gentle but undeniably a promise of honesty, trust, and the possibility of love. Emma glanced at the clock. "We should probably get ready before my parents come back," she said, a hint of reluctance in her voice. Even though the reality of the day was approaching, the comfort of last night's revelations made her feel braver, stronger, more certain. Noah squeezed her hand gently. "Yeah, but just so you know, nothing changes." "Not really. The succeed's real, and I want to see where it goes, no matter what." Emma felt her eyes mist slightly, not from sadness, but from the fullness of emotion, the kind that comes when something longed for finally feels tangible. "Me too," she whispered. They moved together, tidying up the remnants of the night. The empty popcorn bowl, the scattered blankets, the mugs, everything had a story now. A memory tied to laughter, confessions, and small, meaningful gestures. Every ordinary object felt imbued with the extraordinary significance of what had happened. When the front door opened, signaling her parents' return, Emma and Noah shared a small, quiet glance. Their hands brushed for an instant, a silent affirmation that their bond had deepened, that what had started last night would continue, no matter the interruptions of everyday life. Her parents entered smiling and cheerful, unaware of the profound quiet transformation that had taken place while they were away. Emma greeted them, her voice bright and calm, while Noah offered a friendly wave. Everything seemed normal, yet everything had changed. The ordinary world had returned. But Emma and Noah carried with them the extraordinary truth of the Nita, truth that gave them both courage and hope. Later, as Noah walked home down the freshly washed streets, he felt a lightness in his step. The air smelled of rain and earth, and the first rays of sun touched his face. He glanced back toward Emma's house, a soft smile playing on his lips. Something had begun, something quiet and enduring. And he knew it would grow in its own time. Emma, meanwhile, stood at the window, watching him disappear into the morning light. Her heart was full, her mind clear. She knew that life would continue, that challenges and routines would return. But now she had something to hold on to, a connection deeper than friendship, rooted in honesty, trust, and the shared understanding of a night that had changed everything. She whispered softly to herself, a quiet promise.